All right. It is 6:05 p.m. Eastern. Woof. All right. Got back from DragonCon. DragonCon was pretty wild. Pretty fun. Pretty wild. Good time. I'm a little convention hungover. Hadn't been to a convention in a couple of years. Normally work convention, so not used to attending convention. Just as an attendee. So that was kind of weird. Very weird waiting in line for everything. That was pretty weird. Anyways, all right. I believe last week, if I can remember anything, I believe last week we said we were going to start working on player options. So that is what we will do. And I think at the tail end of last prep session, Dom had mentioned checking out Giffyglyphs class compendium, because we had mentioned at the very beginning that a 1 to 10 class compendium was a pretty cool idea. Hey, what's up, dude? So yeah, let's go ahead and check that out as well. Let's see. Giphy, I don't want to be a fanboy or anything, but Giphy definitely one of the best homebrew designers, in my opinion. He and I have a lot of similar takes on how to run a game, how to DM, how to tell a story, when you should be fudging and lying to your players and when you shouldn't. Hey, thank you. And letting your and having some good fucking math. Giphy has some good fucking math. And he also has such a strong instinct, I think, for what is the most fun parts. Exactly. Yeah, he has such a good sense of what makes something good, and fun. And yeah, that carries over really well. Class Compendium is a perfect example of this. His best work, obviously, is the Monster Maker, but Class Compendium is absolutely phenomenal. So let's go ahead and crack this bad boy open. We're going to make a new document, and we're going to call it Gothic Horror. We really need to come up with a name for the world. Gothic Horror Player's Handbook. That sounds like a good title. All right. There we go. And then we'll put options and resources for building a Gothic horror character. All right. Let's jump into this. Okay. I'm not tired. You're tired. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. View. Full screen. Lovely. All right. So in Giffyglyphs Class Compendium, he takes a lot of stuff from 4th edition, cleans it up for 5th edition, and then he takes 5th edition and he condenses it down. Yeah. Oh yeah. The Aberrant Archives. I think I even have contributed to the Aberrant Archives. At some point, I think my Wild Sorcerer might be in there. I can't remember. But yeah. He takes the 1 to 20, and when we were building our subclasses, I kept commenting like, "Oh, level 17 ability, like no one's ever gonna get to use that," and "Oh, level 20 capstone, get to use that for one fight, and then it's gone." He kind of eliminates that problem by saying, "Nah, we're gonna play levels 1 to 10." Because that's generally what people play, and you get your capstone at level 10, and everything gets condensed down to level 10. And I'll be honest, I've run a lot of D&D, a lot of 5th edition D&D, and in those games, generally groups of 6 players, with magic items and a bonus feat at first level, they're punching so far above their weight class CR wise. They're going to be able to handle most shit at level 10, 11, or 12 that you would think that they need to be 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 for. It's really the power gains, especially in a higher magic setting like Faerun or, God forbid, Eberron. It's just exponential growth. Like they're so strong. They're so strong. So yeah, you don't have to shy away from these tougher encounters. Now, you combine this with the Monster Maker, and the Monster Maker builds perfect math monsters for perfect math characters. So much like 4th edition, and I'm sorry if there's 4th edition haters that are listening to this, but much like 4th edition, it doesn't matter if you're level 1 or level 30, you're going to have a pretty damn cool fight on your hands. Because generally, things scale to what they need to be. So if I wanted to have my players fight a dragon, and I wanted it to be a Draco Lich, I could have them fight a Draco Lich, and it would do all the things a Draco Lich would do, but the math for that Draco Lich would be scaled to be appropriate for a boss monster of that level. So yeah. That allows you to tell any kind of story you want when you combine these two things together, without overcomplicating things. In my games right now, where the players are getting into the higher levels, I think Skull and Shackles were at 13 or 14. They are starting to be like, oh my god, I have so many things to keep track of. What am I supposed to do? Like, there's so many abilities. I don't know. You have somebody miss a game, and nobody wants to play their character because they're like, I have enough trouble managing my character. I don't want to manage another character. With this system, you don't ever get to those super high levels, but you also still don't miss out on doing cool shit. So what I'm saying is, the reason we're checking this stuff out as part of our players' options is, much as we took the racial stuff from the Giffy, the health bars are pretty fucking big. I will say that. That is the number one thing that Giffy says to adjust on the fly, or adjust to your group, is the health bars. Yeah, like there's a creature type called like Defender, and Defenders just have so much health. The point is they're almost impossible to beat through traditional tank and spank combat. You have to like push them into lava. You have to cast debilitating spells on them. You have to mind control them. You have to have some other way to beat them, because if you just try to kill them by taking away their hit points, it's never going to work mathematically. So, and you could see that sort of progress in my Mythic game. When they figure out a monster as a defender, they switch from like standard D&D combat to problem-solving combat. How can we destroy this monster without having to lower its hit points? It's very, very cool. All right. So I have done a whole read-through of this entire book, and I posted the read-through on YouTube, so we're not going to read through the whole thing again, but I am going to kind of touch on some of the stuff that's here and point out why it would be pretty useful to use a 1 to 10 system. I say this after we built subclasses, but I'm going to point out why it would be pretty cool to use this system. All right, so for Barbarian, they condense Barbarian down to sort of its simplest parts, and then they also introduce two new mechanics: brutality points, which is their mana essentially, and then their brutalities master. The brutalities are like their special moves. Now, last week we did look at an amazing supplement called Martial Exploits, which takes 400 non-magical combat exploits and updates them for 5th edition. So these are all from 4th edition, and it updates them for 5th edition, so your dude can have Dire Wolverine Strike as an action while you are wielding a separate melee weapon in each hand. Make a melee attack using weapon against any number of creatures you can see within 5 feet of you, with a separate attack roll for each target. On a hit, these attacks deal 1d6 extra damage. I mean, that's fucking amazing. It's whirlwind. It's whirlwind attack, you know? Like, you're just spinning around in a circle attacking everybody. So it's similar to that. Like, these guys have special brutalities related to their class, and then they activate them using brutality points. So if you scroll down, you see that it explains how they end a rage, and also that unarmed attacks do count as a weapon and gain the benefits of your rage damage, which is kind of cool. They remind you that you can't cast spells. So all the basic stuff of a barbarian. But then they talk about brutality points and the brutality system. It is fed off of your strength, is your casting stat. for these, anything that has saving throws related to it. And what's cool about this is that you can change out brutalities whenever you finish a long rest, which is a little bit further and farther between in the darker dungeon system, but it's, it's whatever. Which is cool because you get to try out different ones and take ones that are appropriate for what you're doing. This was, in my opinion, very smart design because with Tasha's, they introduced that same thing for fighters, or anybody that has those sorts of fighting styles can swap them out when they take a long rest, and, it's just more fun. It's just more fun. So things that they can do is cleave, like the old school 3rd edition move. So choose a creature that is within 5 feet of the original. If it would hit, that creature takes some damage. Not a lot of damage, but this system uses minions, so being able to kill an extra minion on a turn is always nice. And the damage does increase as you go. You can grab people as part of your attack, which is kind of cool. The Herculean Barbarian from Odyssey can do this as a normal class feature constantly, which is pretty badass. And it also allows you to grab and grapple creatures larger than you, which in and of itself is pretty amazing. But Dom, hey Dom, speak of the devil. Dom actually introduced a rule that we have not tried yet, which is basically an adaptation of grappling. So basically, there's never a size limit for grappling per Dom, who I feel has a very good instinct for game design as well. Per Dom, and this is something that technically I've been doing the whole time, but I didn't have it like in words. But basically, Dom says if you are the same size as a creature, you can move the creature around. If they're larger than you, you can move them around, but it's going to be really slow. If they are 2 sizes larger than you, you could hold the creature still, but you can't move it on your turn. And when the creature tries to move, they could still move, but they move at half speed. So they're dragging you along with them. And then if the creature is 3 times your size, so I guess gargantuan or larger, because there's no size above gargantuan, which is kind of a shame. Or DM ruling, basically, when you grapple something that big, you are climbing onto the creature. Like, you are on the creature now. And I frequently use huge monsters because virtual tabletop, there is no size restrictions. I don't have to get out a 3D printer and spend 4 days printing out a giant ass monster miniature, or use a stuffed animal, which is what I would probably just do if I had a giant monster because I'm lazy. But the idea is, why wouldn't you be able to climb on this giant monster? Climbing on monsters, that's a fucking shit. I mean, who doesn't want to climb on a giant monster? If I'm a melee character, you tell me I can't climb on this monster? Get the fuck out of here. So basically, grappling would represent you not so much grappling the creature in any meaningful way. Like, you're not going to reduce the speed of Godzilla, but if you're grappling him, you're going to be on his back. So that was really, really cool. And it's definitely something that I want to incorporate into my own games officially. Because what I do for climbing on monsters is if it's really big, I just allow it. If the monster's moving around a lot, I require an athletics or an acrobatics. Acrobatics because they never gets any attention, really. So I allow an acrobatics or an athletics to basically stay on the monster. And it's still half movement to move around on the monster, but you can kind of move around on the monster. Now, this is where it starts to get a little crazy and starts to leave the board gaminess of 5e. If I'm on the back of the monster's neck, how's the monster going to bite me? That kind of thing. Well, Giphy Monster System has a whole thing for that. Called improvised attacks, and that is how you handle that shit, no problem. And I have incorporated that into my own games as well. I say, well, he can't bite you, but he's going to try and basically roll over with you on his back, and he's going to try to smash you with his body. And honestly, all this stuff just adds more and more excitement to fights. So I'm a huge fan of it. So another great house rule suggestion by Dom, really defines what we've already been doing in like a much more official and organized way. So yeah, sorry to get off tangent on that. I haven't done any D&D stuff in like a week, so I'm in like D&D withdrawal. All right. So Barbarian can also headbutt and kick and roar and smash, and it's good, right? And what I'm trying to show you here is this document we looked at last week. This is what inspired the Giphy system, is these kind of attacks, these kind of cool combat maneuvers. that just make a melee or a non-magical character a bit more special, a bit more interesting than they were before. So there's certainly a great temptation to incorporate this system. Here's what would complicate using the Giffyglyph 1 to 10 class compendium system. So, what that limitation is the this is built using the open rules document. So basically, we can have the primal path of Berserker. There are 2 new ones that he added, which is Path of the Conqueror and Path of the Fanatic. There is paths yet to come, Path of the Bulwark, Path of the Flagellant. So there's cool stuff that's always in the works, but we can't, right, as a community, we can't publish Bear Totem Barbarian. Like, we can't publish Bear Totem Barbarian as a Giphy class because it would involve reposting rules that were not open source, is what it comes out to. We'd essentially be repackaging copyrighted material and then putting it out there. So that makes it a lot harder to support because people might want to play one of the more classic, it's weird to say classic right now, but I guess 6+ years of 5e. People might want to play a classic Barbarian, like a Bear Barbarian. They might want to play a classic, God, I forget what the druid is that is like in the player's handbook, but nobody ever plays it. Druid of Land, Circle of Land, some shit like that. They might want to play those. And then it comes down to, do you have a Giphy version of that? So for Barbarians, that would be a primal path. You have to design 4 new brutalities that meet these particular requirements. Then you go through and you explain what the 4 special ones are. You got to create unique 6th and 3rd level abilities, and then you've got to take the 20th level capstone and boil it down to be a 10th level capstone. So make it strong, but not too strong because it's only level 10, but still make it pretty damn good. I'm not saying that it's terrible. There's opportunities to fix things. So like Frenzy Barbarian, when you rage, you can go to a Frenzy. While you are in a frenzy, you could pay for the frenzy. Instead of just getting exhaustion, you can also pay for it with your brutality resources. You can also pay for it with your hit dice. So little decisions like that just make it so much better. So instead of going full Giffyglyphs class compendium, just take the point system, slap it on the respective published 5e class. Yeah. Just make a class that's a do-it-yourself kit that people could flavor on your own. That's just like World of Darkness at that point. I mean, we talked about doing World of Darkness as the system for this, but yeah. I know that the class system of 5e, if you are looking to be unique in any way, you either have to like reskin for flavor, or you have to do some kit bashing with like multi-classing to kind of get what you want. I know that the Tasha feats introduce the ability to basically take the coolest parts of a particular class with just a single feat instead of having to go and multi-class to get the features that you're after. Case in point, like the Warlock feat that gives you Eldritch invocations without actually having to be a Warlock. So there are ways. I want to say that 6 years of 5e, there are ways to basically create any kind of character you want. Is it mechanically going to be as strong as everything else? I mean, is anything ever? There's always going to be something that's more optimal and more meta than everything else. As far as like creating a system where since at 1 to 20, make it so you can just pick one of your class point system spender each level. Okay, there's a lot of words there. Since at 1 to 20, make it so you can just pick one of your class point system spender each level. Okay, yeah, I think I follow. So for like Barbarian, they would get 1 primal brutality per level. Got it. Okay, yeah, that could work. That could work. The other thing is, would we fuel these abilities? Here we go. Would we fuel these abilities from martial exploits with your essentially melee budget, or would we not? That's a question. Because I really like these, and somebody went to the trouble of already inventing all these, so like I kind of just want to make these available so that people can like pick and choose and like come up with some cool shit here. Like, I don't know. I kind of like these as sort of just like feats almost. Like when they reach a certain level, they unlock a new one of these. Could be kind of cool. Now we could always do both. We could have all. We could assemble a list of all of the barbarian based ones that have been invented and just have those available. One thing about Giphy Sorcerer that I wanted to talk about is, oh yeah, the those do have their own budget, already. Then we're introducing a lot of budgets that you have to kind of keep track of. Sorcerers in Giphy use, I believe, sorcery points for everything. Yeah. It would be like Me Fighter and Smash. They're generic but customizable. Yeah, I kind of follow you, KNX. A long time ago, there was a character class called Adventurer. And Adventurer was like a bard with no magic. So they were basically a fighter with medium armor and a decent amount of skills and like some rudimentary knowledge of either healing magic or attack magic. So they kind of had a little bit of everything. I don't know. I'm sure someone's made an adventurer class for 5e, so I could look into that. Okay, I also want to look at Warlord for 5e, because that would be great as well, as far as a player's option goes. Let's see what we could do here. Bullet list. We'll do generic style class. Who can do generic style class? Who could do more? A bit of everything. I thought about creating something like that, but then realized that any options had would essentially be subpar equivalent to a different. Well, that's the problem, right? It's like if you wanted something that could do a little bit of everything, you could just make one of the 10 different bards that are available and just reskin the music to not be music, right? Like if you're like, well, I want to be a bard, but I don't want to be like horny bard and I don't want to be music bard. Like, fine, like tell me how you power your abilities. Oh, I power them with the conviction of my own like adventurer spirit. It's like, cool, we're done. Okay, that's what you do. You power them with the conviction of your own. By the power of anime, you power your abilities. That's fine. I want to add Pugilist, which is a homebrew class. So I want to make that available. We're going to allow Artificers again. So we'll no longer ban those. Don't tell David. He'll be super sad because I'm pretty sure he wanted to play an Artificer in Odyssey of the Dragon Lords, but I said no, and that's why he's playing a Sorcerer. So no longer banned on Artificers. And we'll allow, even though they're terrible, I guess we will allow gunslingers. And we'll allow, what are the fake witchers called? Blood hunters? There we go. Alright. Let's see. Yeah, because what I'm learning from Artificer is, I don't know. Like, I feel like Artificer's too strong. I feel like it's too well built compared to everything else. But we have worked so hard to boost everybody else up that I feel like now the Artificer is really good. But we've done everything we can to boost up the other classes and make them on the same level as the Artificer. So now the Artificer, I think, can come back as long as we're using all the other house rules and options that we've come up with to give those other characters a chance to be as good as the Artificer. And yes, I know there's better meta combinations of characters that you could build that are better than an Artificer. I know Wizard is the best class in the whole game at high levels. I get that. But Artificer is a good fucking class, and it's really, really well designed. So, I don't know. Now, they'll be on even ground, I think. Witch class? You know, like, I know Paizo has a witch class, and I believe a warlock class. I kind of felt that way. I was like, oh, there's no witch in 5e. That's what we're missing. But I kind of feel like any spellcaster can be a witch if you just flavor it right. Like warlock is witch. I mean, in my opinion, you just have to be flavoring it right. That's kind of my hot take on witches in D&D. Because, like, I played a witch in D&D, and she was just a Fey sorcerer. And then, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, Fey sorcerer, I mean, honestly, all of them kind of, yeah. Could do a warlock patron that flavors it to spirits you've captured control. Absolutely. Absolutely. Voodoo guy from Princess and the Frog, he's got friends on the other side, right? That guy's a witch. Like, for sure. And a lot of the Christian mythology behind witches is that they were in the service of demons and Satan and stuff like that. So I mean, that's where a lot of the warlock lore for D&D comes from, is from that sort of villainized witches kind of situation. Now, you know, older myths about witches are they learned them from the Fey folk, hence the reason they got Fey patrons and things like that. And if you wanted to play the whole born with magical powers, like Dom said, you could just do it that way. Grappling maneuvers, have I got news for you? I'm pretty sure Giphy system already has grappling maneuvers, and I want to say that martial exploits for sure, but let's do a quick search. Alright, Press of Steel. When you hit a creature with a melee attack using a weapon while you're holding a shield, your attack deals an extra 1d10 damage. If the target is within 5 feet of you and blocking terrain, it makes a strength saving throw. On a failed save, they are restrained for 1 minute. On a successful saving throw, the target is grappled until the end of your next turn. The condition also ends if you're no longer within 5 feet of the target. Notice it does not say lingering saving throw here. You just fucking shove this dude up against a wall with your shield, they're not going anywhere. That's pretty badass. I'd say that's a pretty good grappling maneuver. Let's see. Quick escape is for escaping grapples. Seize and stab. When you hit a creature with a melee attack using a weapon and you have a free hand, it deals an extra 1d10 damage. And you can attempt to grapple the target. The target cannot escape the grapple until the end of its next turn. Serpent's Coil. Let's see. When you hit a creature with a weapon, does extra 1d10 damage, much like a strength save, or suffer disadvantage on attack rolls. If you made a triggering attack using a flail, you can also grapple with your flail. I would say we also apply that to whips. While the target is grappled in this way, your weapon cannot be used to make attacks. It's kind of dope. Let's see. Slamming Rush. When you hit a creature you are grappling with a melee attack, your attack deals an extra 1d10 damage, and the target must make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, you can move up to your speed, pulling the target along with you. If the target is within 5 feet of blocking terrain at the end of the movement, it takes an additional 1d10 points of bludgeoning damage as you slam them into the terrain. That seems kind of cool. That seems like a grappling maneuver. Crushing Foot. When you hit a creature with a melee attack, you can deal an extra 2d10 damage. On a failed save, they are knocked prone, grappled by you, and for 1 minute, when the target starts its turn grappled by you, its speed is reduced by 0 until the turn of successful save, the target is knocked prone. I mean, its speed is always 0 when you're grappled, but I guess till the end of the turn means even if it gets out of the grapple, its speed is still reduced to 0, so that's kind of cool. Yeah. So I don't know. I think if we look through these 400 different abilities, we would definitely find that there are some grapple maneuvers in there. Could there be more? Sure. We could probably look up wrestling mods for 5e. All right. what we got going on here, we are working on player options for our Gothic Horror campaign. Just trying to take what we've done so far and build onto it and sort of condense it all into one place. I'm operating on very low energy, very low sleep, and somehow still hungover from DragonCon. So I'm in like a weird detox state, but I'm also very excited to be working on D&D stuff, so I might be rambling about a bunch of different stuff. I don't know. Going on with more grappling stuff. Grappler stance. As a bonus action, you enter the grappler stance until the stance ends. Any creature grappled by you is also restrained, which is awesome. Let's see. Pitiless Grapple. When you hit a creature with a melee attack using a weapon, you have a free hand. You do an extra 3d10 damage. The target must succeed on a strength saving throw or be grappled. Until this grapple ends, your melee weapon attacks against the target score a critical hit on an 18 to 20. Holy shit. It's pretty good. And so on and so forth. So, I don't know. I'm pretty excited about using the supplement. I really want to try and use the supplement. So we're going to do what we can to make sure martial exploits gets used. Now, going back to Giphy stuff, though. Sorcerers using spell points. I get a request for this a lot. I have not played a sorcerer in 5e, except that I multiclassed into sorcerer to pick up like shield for my paladin once. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've played a sorcerer because I hate sorcerers, because I don't like having to make tough decisions about my resources. And I feel like with spell points, they're like the monk of spellcasters. I feel like that says everything. I don't know. I haven't really liked sorcerers since they came out in 3rd edition, honestly. Yeah. Wow. Some hot takes there. Would they be better if they just used spell points for everything? I kind of think so. I kind of think they'd be more fun if they just had spell points and they used them for everything. Use spell points to cast spells. Use spell points to make them stronger. If you want to only use high-level spells all day, that's fine. If you want to only use low-level spells all day, that's fine. If you want to use low-level spells and you spice them up all the time, that's fine too. The idea of the sorcerer is full and complete flexibility. Spell slots don't really make that happen. Spell slots are like, I don't care, you still have to use this 5th level spell slot, Johnny. Well, I just want to cast a shield spell. It's like, well, all you got left is 5th level. Guess you're going to piss it away on a shield. That, to me, doesn't feel very flexible. It doesn't feel very versatile. So, I feel like sorcerers should use spell points. Alright. Now, there is a mod for that. There's a couple mods for that. But there's a mod for Foundry VTT that actually allows them to use spell points to cast spells. Pretty awesome. So that's something that we could definitely do. Warlocks. So one of the things that the Warlock has going on here, and honestly, the Warlock was the inspiration for all of the other class changes that were made by Giphy, because they have essentially a sub-budget of special abilities called invocations. So that's sort of what inspired the other classes to get similar things. Let's see. He introduces for them an ability to essentially sacrifice their hit dice to get back their spellcasting stuff to sort of... Here we go. Sacrificial Bargain. When you cast a Warlock spell at 1st level or higher, you may spend a number of hit dice equal to your Warlock spell level to cast a spell without expending a spell slot. If the spell can't be cast at a higher level, you may instead spend a number of hit dice equal to the spell's maximum casting level. You can use this feature up to 3 times, and you regain expended uses when you finish a long rest. How would you handle a Warlock Sorcerer multi-class? Well, how you would do it is Warlock spell slots are their own. They have always been segregated from other spell slots, even normal. Yeah. I mean, I know Coffee Lock is the thing. I know that you do Illusionist Gloves with Eldritch Blast. You get the one that adds your Charisma to the Eldritch Blast, and then you Quicken spell your Eldritch Blast, and you get more shit. And then you abuse spell. You trade in spell points to get spell slots back. Yeah. I mean, I get the whole thing. You would just need to more clearly define that Warlock spell slots operate independently of sorcerer spell points. Honestly, the spell points would make it harder to be a coffee lock because you don't get to trade in spell points for spell slots because you don't have spell slots as a sorcerer. You have spell points. There is no recovering spell slots. That's that. So if you wanted to be both, you'd be managing Warlock spell slots separately and spell points separately. And that's just how it would come down. Would I allow a spell point sorcerer to modify non-sorcerer spells? That's a great question. Let's see. All right. So let's see. Replacing known spells, Metamagic. All right. The rules, blah, blah, blah. Master 2 metamagics. When you cast a spell, you may declare which metamagics, if any, you are applying it to. I don't know if Giphy is going to be able to help us with this in the class compendium because there's no multi-classing allowed in class compendium. So let's go over to D&D Beyond, and we will go to classes. We will go to sorcerer. There we go. It's good to see Critical Bard up to some cool projects. It's always nice to see on the front page of D&D Beyond. Let's see. Crafting a sorcerer. Blah, 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 blah. All right. Font of Magic. Flexibility. Casting spells. Creating spell slots. See, here's the problem. Like, this is where Coffee Lock it gets a lot of its power from. Is being able to, do this. Let's see. Metamagic, gain the ability to twist your spells to your needs. On a spell that you've cast until otherwise knows. So yeah, I think a sorcerer can use sorcery points to modify any spell that they are casting. So you are going to run into that, I guess, issue still. I mean, I'm at a point now, we're like 6 years into this stuff, that if a player at your table is abusing mechanics in a way that is detrimental to the play experience of the other people at the table, you just need to kind of sit down and be like, hey, you're punching up here, you're punching up here. Everybody else punching down here. And I understand that this is how you have fun, but it's making everybody else look and feel bad. And I'm trying my best to send extra stuff that makes it challenging for you. But yeah. So, can you kind of bring it down just a bit for this campaign? You may actually have to have that conversation, honestly. If it's not a good fit for the rest of the group. I mean, that's the thing. You're playing with a group of people, you want to make sure it's fun for the whole group. If everybody thinks that the coffee lock is the greatest thing that's ever happened and they love it and they're all supportive of it, I mean, I guess just make your game work with the coffee lock and move on with it. Your warlock spells into sorcery points, but yeah. Well, so there's no way that you can turn, if we did it this way, if we did sorcerers on sorcery points, they don't have spell slots, period. So anything that would grant a spell slot or do spell slot stuff just wouldn't happen, is how we would just have to do it. They have to keep everything separate. Oh, is there a distinction between pack slots and spell slots? There is, per se. You are required to keep your warlock spell slots separate on your character sheet. In D&D Beyond, they're tracked completely differently. In Foundry, if your sheet's set up correctly, your pack slots should be tracked separately. And the reason is the pack slots are very limited, and they always scale. They scale up in level. So they're always going to be cast at 5th level. They're always going to be cast at, 4th level. Whatever level you're currently at as a warlock is going to impact the absolute minimum level that will cast at. There's no up or down. Like, warlocks become more powerful, their spells become more powerful, there's no controlling it. Now the question is, what about sorcery points? Could I use sorcery points if I'm multiclassing? Could I use sorcery points to cast into spells from another list? And I'm gonna say, we're gonna look it up real quick, but I'm gonna say that yes, you probably can, because with the latest, with Tasha's and Van Richten's guide or whatever, they introduce innate spells that you can get through feats, and it specifically says that those innate spells are added to the list of spells you can cast, and you can cast them with other spell slots. So, for example, if we went to Tasha's, there we go, and we went to feats. All right, what do we got here? Fey Touched. Okay. You learn Misty Step and one first level spell of your choice. The first level spell must be from the Divination or Enchantment School of Magic. You can cast each of these spells without expending a spell slot. Once you cast other spells this way, you can't cast them until blah, 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 blah. You can also cast these spells using spell slots you have of the appropriate level. Has nothing to do with class or anything. You are basically adding Misty Step to and one other spell to your spell list. This is huge. This is a huge, huge, huge thing. So I would say that, yeah, like, you could use spell points, because that is essentially how you cast spells as a sorcerer, to cast spells that you wouldn't normally have access to. They allow multi-class casters to do that, to pay for slots from different, essentially, wallets of slots. All right. I will look up real quick. We'll go to Giffyglyph again. But this time we will go to Darker Dungeons, because I believe in Darker Dungeons he has the level 1 to 20 changes recommended for his character classes, which is a bit different than the 1 to 10 classes. So let's see. Class changes. There we go. Scroll down. Now, I mean, I'd love to do like 1 to 10 class compendium, because I like that quite a bit. I know there's not a lot of people that are into that, unfortunately, but it is really, really cool. Alright, Sorcerer. So, let's see. Your Sorcerer's Origin defines you. Add it to your spells as an extra spell instead of taking away from your known spells, which is huge. You are a font of Sorcerer's Power. Flexible casting. You can't create new spell slots, but you can recover expended spell slots by spending sorcery points. Okay, so this one I think does not use sorcery points for casting. I think the recommendation was simply to modify flexible casting, that you can't create new spell slots. You can recover expended spell slots, which I think helps with the coffee lock issue a little bit more. This one change right here helps with that quite a bit. So yeah, anyways, we went on a huge tangent about coffee locks, but nowadays I don't feel like you even see coffee locks that much. So let's see. Sorcerers using spell points is good. Let's see. Is there anything else we were adding? Our custom subclasses for sure. Alright, so let's go down here. And we're going to talk about race/species. And we already have a document on that. And basically, you choose core species. And then you select applicable traits from available lists. And that's how we handle race. It's done. And then as you level up, you may select additional traits. And that's that. How are we handling that is a question. So let's see. I knew this was going to be a rough one because we basically have to put together all of our different documents. Let's see. Oh, that's poking out to the side there. There we go. All right. We want Gothic ancestries. There we go. Oh. Let me try that again. Hold on. Gothic ancestries. All right. So with Gothic ancestries, we got our lineages here, and then we've got our species. All right. So the species are beastkin, human, and fae. And then you get heritage feats unlocked through your species and lineage. You gain 1 at level 1 and additional heritage feats unlocked at certain character levels. Character levels are your total levels across all classes. You can take additional heritage feats when you would gain an ASI feat instead of the standard feat. Okay. So we kind of need a table that runs like 1 to 20. All right. Let's see what we could do about that. Insert a table. So the table needs to be 20. Oh, Jesus. Okay. That is a big table. Cool. Let's see what we could do. I didn't think the table would come in, like, impossible to read. I mean, I like my template quite a bit, but that's really obnoxious. Okay. Table properties. There we go. Cell background, we'll set it to, like, gray. Table border, we'll set it to, like, a white. Alright. I can actually see what's going on now. That's cool. Alright. So, let's see. Level. And what is this called? Heritage? Cool. Let me zoom. Let me zoom this out a bit so we can see everything on one page. There we go. All right. So we got level 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, cool. I haven't built a table in a Word document forever. I usually make it in Excel and then embed, but I guess this will fucking work. Alright. And apparently we need 1 more row. Cool. So that's the level. And then at first level, you would get 1 heritage feat. You get 1 heritage feat of your choice. You unlock additional feats as you go. Okay? So heritage feat. I guess we'll just put a X. There we go. And then we'll put ASI. Improvement. There we go. No, that's terrible. Alright, cool. So ASI improvements are at, I want to say 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. And these are class-based, but these are character-based. So that's where it starts to get even trickier. The reason that you do ASI improvements as class-based is to discourage multi-classing, obviously. The race class document is not currently available publicly. It's just something that kind of we've been kicking around. What we're doing right now is trying to clean up all this stuff into one sort of functional document. So let's see. In addition to heritage feats and ASI improvements, what other systems are we working with that we need to account for? I want to say crafting is also restricted by level, and that's character based. And then, what, transformations are also character-based. So only the ASIs are class-based, which is a little annoying. All right. Okay. So that kind of works. All right. And when I say transformations, I am referring to the stuff from Grim Hollow, which also, I guess, Wildermyth has been hot shit. So I really enjoy it. And Wildermyth has a lot of fun transformations and stuff like that. And the longer you play your character, you level up your transformations in the game. It's very, 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 very similar to what they got going on here. So Chapter 5 transformations. Beginning a transformation, leveling up your transformation. All right, characters that have successfully completed a transformation can continue the process by increasing their transformation level. They must achieve milestones before gaining a transformation level. Each type of milestone has an example list of possible milestones that are thematically unique. So the recommended ranges are 1 to 4, 5 to 8, 11 to 16, and 17 to 20. So what we'll do for that is we'll put transformation level, and you definitely do not want to abbreviate transformation. That would be a very problematic decision. All right, and we'll go ahead and do transformation level 1. And we'll basically just put this into like a range so that so that we can keep track of it. There we go. And then it looks like from 5 to 10 we've got 2. All right. So far so good. So that goes 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's actually 6 levels. There we go. Then 11 to 16 switches over to transformation level 3. There we go. I love the idea that you could be a werewolf, but you ain't going to be an awesome werewolf until, you know, you're much, much, much higher in level. So I think that's kind of cool. Now, the benefit of going with levels 1 to 20 instead of going with the 1 to 10 through Class Compendium is if you want to run a more 4th edition style game, a more Mike Merle's 4th edition style game. I know I'm not supposed to talk about Mike Merle's, but, you know, a more Mike Merle's, he likes to level up after every session. He runs a 30-session campaign. You start at level 1, you end the campaign at level 30, you level up after every session. I mean, that's kind of bananas to me. 4E allowed you to go levels 1 to 30, which is kind of cool. He likes leveling up. He wants his players to feel powerful, like they're constantly growing in strength, so they always are leveling up. So you could just have a faster leveling campaign that levels 1 to 20, gives everyone a chance to do that stuff, but you don't have to run a 2-year-long campaign just to get to level 20. You could decide we're going to run less than a year. It's going to be 40 sessions, and every like 2 sessions you're going to level up, and that's that. And you just pace yourself around that. All right, Dom says, so I am character level 4, but class 3 and 1, I can only have 1 heritage feat. If I did character level 4 and class level 4, I could have 2. Correct, because you could cash, Dom, correct. You can cash in your ASI for another heritage feat if you would like. You don't have to. You could just do a normal ASI improvement, or you could do a feat, like a traditional feat. But you could also do another heritage feat. So it's another thing, I guess, if you wanted to make the best possible werewolf and you wanted lots of beast-like abilities and you were getting those beast-like abilities from the species, heritage feats or whatever, you would go with that. The campaign I'm running is Milestone. I've been leveling them up about once every 3 sessions. Campaign will go until I wrap the story in December. Yeah, like, exactly. Some people feel like, oh, well, if I run a game 1 to 20, it's going to take forever. But it doesn't have to take forever. I mean, if you really want to get to the higher levels, just level them up more frequently. Yeah. For me, a lot of my campaigns are slow leveling campaigns because there's a lot of story to tell, and I want to make sure that they spend time at the appropriate levels for the story that we're telling. And also, I'm not a huge fan of running high level D&D, so I try to tell as much of the story as I can without getting into the higher levels. If you were to make like a scale that measured like the amount of content versus like what level you are, it's like slow level, slow level, slow level, slow level, and then like you just skyrocket up to 20, and you're leveling like every 3 weeks or 2 weeks when you get to the higher levels of my campaign. Because at that point, I just kind of want to not deal with high level characters anymore. So I'm just like, you're already high level, game's broken, might as well just start leveling up really quick and enjoy the stuff as you can until the game's over with. So that's kind of my situation with higher level games. But I could see deliberately writing a campaign around the idea of a constant static increase. Like, every 2 sessions or every 3 sessions you will level up. I've been doing it with the Storm King's Thunder miniseries. I just decide, like, you're going to start at this level, you're going to finish at this level, 3 sessions, and you gain a level, and then, we move on with our lives. So that's been pretty cool too. So it really depends on what kind of game you're running. All right, now the crafting thing. Let's go grab that real quick. I believe Giphy launched yet another update to crafting. Let's see. Giphy releases new crafting system. Got to view it on Patreon. I got this in another window. That's why you cannot see it right now. So there's new files that we got to download. So let's do that real quick. And it looks like he released like a new list, but we don't need all that information. Let's go here. Open. All right. What are we looking at right now in the latest updates? All right. So you choose a profession, and then advancement in the profession is restricted by your overall character level, I believe. I believe we read that. So let's see where that's at. Profession feats. All right. You can earn a feat in one of 3 primary ways. And, here we go. Profession ranks. All right. So we'll do crafting ranks. There we go. And we'll do apprentice. And you are stuck at apprentice until you get to level 4, when you become an expert. Fantastic. And you're an expert to level 8, when you can become an artisan. All right. And that goes until level 12, when you become a master. You're noticing it's just, at level 4, 8, 12, 16, but, whatever. So then you got master. And then finally grandmaster. All right. So what we need to decide is, when do we introduce more? This is all, I did all this. Yeah, he has house rules for level 0 characters, which is kind of cool, but not really my cup of tea. That was something I believe the first time they introduced that was in 2nd edition. They had a wonderful book called the NPC Handbook. I loved that book so much. Let me see. The NPC Handbook. No. I'll have to find it, but it was amazing. It basically introduced like the classic like expert, craftsman, mage. I think was, they're basically like the most gestalt like characters. Like, I don't know. They're really neat. But they basically represented like NPC classes and level 0 classes and what you could do with them. All right, so we did all of this so that we'd have a better sense of when those power dips happened. Oh, Siri, I know. We're only supposed to do an hour a week on world building. I know. Okay, give me a couple more minutes. Um, so for character-based heritage feats, when should they improve? We'd need a lot if we improved them like every 3 levels. I feel like we would need a lot, but that would also cause some overlap here with level 12. Like level 12 would be a doozy because you get a lot of shit at level 12. You can become a master craftsman, you get a level 12 feat, and then you get a racial feat on top of everything else. But I kind of like that pacing though, where we do level 1, you get another one at 3, and then 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. I think that's pretty good. We'd need to make sure that you had lots of cool feats that you could take. But that's not... Yeah, it's not too bad. What we might want to put on our to-do list then is find lots of racial feats, possible Pathfinder 2E to 5E conversion notes. Because if somebody else is already trying to do it, we could see what they did, get a better idea of what works and what doesn't work. Yeah. All right. I like that. Okay. So, what did we do today? We explored Giffyglyphs system for class Compendium, got a better sense of what works and what doesn't. Oh, great. Thank you, Grave Thrasher. Currently watching 3 evil... Wait, I have to ask, which Evil Tides of Saltmarsh, Sun or Moon? If you're still here, Grave Thrasher, I'm super curious which Pokemon version you went with, because they were radically different campaigns. Kind of going through the same story, though. While I wait for that reply. Yeah, so we went through the Giffyglyph stuff. We looked at the benefits of 1 to 10 versus 1 to 20. We looked at the innate abilities available to the non-caster classes. Ultimately, I think I'm leaning more towards the martial expertise stuff, or sorry, martial exploit stuff, than the Giphy stuff. I think that the martial expertise stuff is just spicier. It has its own budget system built in, less points that we have to keep track of. So yeah. Oh yeah, Great Thresher. There's 2 different Evil Tides of Saltmarsh. There's Sun and Moon. Sun is actually a villain campaign. All the main characters, all the player characters are bad guys. Moon, they're all like, traditional good guys. Oh, better be the one with yeah, so the one that Snood is mentioning is Moon. Yeah. Oh, we also looked at transformations and how we're going to incorporate those, and crafting ranks and how those are going to be included as well. So without even looking at your class shit, a character in our world is going to be managing their heritage feats. They're going to be managing their normal ASI/feat improvements. They're going to be looking at their crafting. And then they're also going to be looking, and crafting is optional, and they're also going to be looking at their transformations. Transformations are going to be optional. Now, something that might come up is why, oh, you don't want to put a class base there? Come on. There we go. One of the things we might be asking is if a character opts out of crafting and opts out of transformations, can they have something to, to basically make up for it? And I would say yes. I don't know if I want to make that an official thing, though. What happens to players who opt out of crafting and transformations? Because there's a lot of people that play WoW, and they don't want to have a crafting character. They don't want to fuck around with crafting. So, that's something to think about. And then maybe I have an idea for a character and I don't want them to be transformed into anything crazy or different. I really just want to play a vanilla bean human fighter, and in a world of magic and whimsy, and I want to kick ass like that and make a point that you can play a normal character and still have it be exciting and cool without any crazy stuff happening to it. I've yet to successfully do that, but oh, fantastic! Yeah, oof. The Sun campaign, very, very spicy. They get up to some wild shit in that campaign. All right. What happens to players who opt out of that? So this is a question that we'll need to answer, but I don't know what that answer is going to be yet. Because I do feel like if you want to opt out of it, you should maybe get access to something cool. Maybe when another person would get like to transformation level 2, you can take like an additional heritage feat or an ASI improvement or something like that. So that's a question that we're going to need to answer as well. All right, as you can see, compiling 20 plus weeks worth of stuff into a useful and organized format for the players is going to take a while. So I'll try to work on it off stream. As Skull and Shackles starts to wind down, there'll be more time to work on stuff, throughout the week. So for now, I think we're off to a good start. We will continue working on our player's handbook for our campaign setting next week. So yeah. All right. Really good to be back streaming. Looking forward to playing some D&D this week. We got Rime of the Frost Maiden tomorrow night. We got Skull and Shackles Thursday night. Saturday night, we're getting together to play some Wildermyth on stream. It's a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, good times. Some tactical combat happens, I think. And so that's happening on Saturday. Sunday will be Mythic Odyssey, and then Monday will be Odyssey Prime. So back to our regular schedule, lots of D&D. So hopefully I will see you at one of those, or I will see you next time. All right. Later, everybody.